What's up, fellas? I'm sure you heard that to start. My cat is here with me, one of my cats. So she may be chiming in to give her takes on the topics, but we'll see. Welcome to episode 2. This week, I'm not gonna focus on the Marlins much as I want to. I don't want to kind of pound that into the ground. I wanted to start with the MLB Draft because that was a significant thing. It helps shape the MLB for the years to come. Obviously, there will be trades, and some guys will end up on different teams rather than the team they were drafted by. But the more I did research into it, the more I love the first pick, Travis Bazana, the Australian, going to Cleveland. I like his skill set. I like how polished he is, and I am looking forward to seeing him in the majors soon. I think sooner rather than later, honestly. And that's the beauty of this class, was how polished everybody was because of, in 2020, the draft was shortened. So now, 4 years later, the result of that was a lot of the top high school talents went to college. College baseball got better, and the pros are going to now get better. I don't know if this is going to have a long-term effect. I would like to see it happen, that major league ready talent is more prominent in college. I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as some might expect or think, or as prominently. Obviously, there's ebbs and flows, and this is a bit of a special case this year. But it would be interesting to see if college baseball, if the competition level gets better, that's better for baseball as a whole. That's better for the MLB. That's better for the sport. It's better for ratings. It's better for college. It's better for everything. And it's better for the players. I don't know if I said that or not, but with the competition level being greater, it's going to be a lot easier for top players in college to just transition into the pros. I don't think I'd want to see anything like the NFL and NBA have, with rules about going to college first, although the NFL technically doesn't have that rule, and the NBA you can play internationally. But I like the setup that the MLB has with their draft, their talent acquisition system that they have in place. I think it's a good combination. But I love Bazana, like I said. It's interesting to me, the first 2 picks were actually not born in the U.S. Zanna, Australian, and Chase Burns, born in Italy. That was just interesting to me. And Burns looks good, but I love the 3rd pick, the fit with that team. Condon, big power bat. He's only going to get stronger. I do see him becoming Judge. I think, not Judge per se, but a player to his caliber, especially playing in Coors. He's going to have some crazy numbers coming out of there. He's going to top the charts in 500-foot home runs annually, I think. As long as he's there, and even when he leaves, he might still be hitting them that far. Love Caglione. I think that's going to be a really fun pick to watch, especially if they let him continue to play two-way. I could see him working in a lot of ways. I do like the offensive fit of him and Bobby Witt Jr. That's a scary duo, and I think they should take their time with him. Not too much time, but not force him to the majors right away, and just to get the bat, which the bat will be important. And if they're making a run at the playoffs, maybe the tune will change a bit from me. I like the idea of having another two-way guy. I like the idea of having two-way guys. I feel like that's good for the sport as a whole. And I can go on a tangent about my thoughts on the injury epidemic in Major League Baseball, and a big part of that is the fact that pitchers are taught to pitch a different way than they used to be. They're throwing harder and putting more spin on it, and that's causing more torque on the elbow and causing more Tommy Johns, and it's not necessarily a good thing. I don't want to travel down that rabbit hole just yet. Eventually we'll get there, but that's a conversation for another day. I like Weatherholt by St. Louis. I loved his outfit at the draft. West Virginia Cowboy right there. I appreciate him representing. That was cool to see. Cam Smith, a guy who was projected to go to Miami, ended up going 2 picks prior, where he was valued at the 14th overall pick, going to Chicago, the Cubs. I don't know. I'm interested to see how he progresses. I was kind of looking forward. The more and more I looked at him, the more I was looking forward to him coming back home to Miami, because he grew up near where I grew up. So it was, a hometown boy. I'm sure he grew up a fan of the Marlins, or at least I'd hope he did, considering the area. Didn't make it to the 16th pick, so it is what it is with that. The switch pitcher from Mississippi State, originally from the Netherlands, or Curacao, that's what it was. He's interesting. I would love to see him as a right-hander as a starter, and then if they can work him as a left-hander, if it's not overly taxing, out of the bullpen, that would be interesting to see. I know his kind of left-handed arsenal is different than his right-handed arsenal, but that's kind of the thing. I wouldn't want him to switch pitch normally. I would like to see him use his ace stuff as a starter and get more innings out of that, and then come in as a lefty later if he needs to. It would be interesting to see a switch pitching starting pitcher. He's going to ultimately, and as he should, he's going to ultimately end up using whatever works best to get outs, and that's how you really should do it. With the 16th pick, the Marlins took P.J. Morlando, which a lot of the experts kind of were calling a reach. I liked Theo Guillen, I guess. But Morlando has a good profile, and especially if he can live up to his potential. He's a high schooler, so he's got plenty of time, plenty of room to grow. It'll be fun to see, fun to watch his progression and kind of go from there. Compensatory pick, we got, I think it was Carter Johnson, Miami did. And this is kind of the depth that I want to take this to. Yeah, Carter Johnson. I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. I think he's got a tremendous upside. I think he's got a lot more balance to him. Not that I dislike our first pick, but I like the value that we got from Carter Johnson, and I'm excited to see how the two of them progress. Hopefully we can get one of the two of them to kind of live up to our expectations. That would be incredible if we shoot 50%. If we get both and they both live up to expectations, that would be insane. That'd be incredible. They'd be the cornerstones of this franchise moving forward alongside Dylan Head. I mean, our pitching is always going to be our strength, but if we can just build an offense to kind of complement, that would be the Rays model. That's how we'd get where we want to be. But yes, moving on to the next topic, the All-Star Game. Congratulations to the American League. Congratulations to Teoscar Hernandez for winning the Home Run Derby. I did not see that coming. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of rooting for Bobby Witt Jr. I'm passively a Royals fan. I'm not outright. I've rooted for them in the past. I predicted their World Series win, so I had a bit of pride kind of coupled with that. But I really was rooting for Bobby Witt Jr. It was one of the more entertaining finishes I've seen of the Home Run Derby in a good little minute, though. So it was fun to watch. But the All-Star Game, I will admit I missed it. I don't know why I thought it was on Wednesday and not Tuesday, but I did miss it. Looking at the box score, I see one guy that I want to highlight on the season in a new segment that I am going to have, the inaugural segment of it. And I'm going to highlight two players because it's my show and I can do what I want. But the American League won 5-3. Tanner Scott had a 2/3 of an inning, but got a couple outs. Jarren Duran hit a deciding home run in that game, which congrats to Jarren Duran, Jesus. Of course, Shohei, he went yard. Yeah, he was basically the whole offense. Shohei was for the National League. If he was still in the American League, it would have been a blowout. But the American League now, I think it was something like 10 out of the last 11 All-Star games the American League won. Which, credit to them, they got some dudes. They're studs over there. Stephen Kwan, another guy that I want to highlight, and I'll kind of touch on at a later date. I love his game. But yeah, I'm glad to see the Stars out doing what they do. Jordan Westberg was a guy that kind of surprised me making the team. I hadn't, full disclosure, I haven't really paid attention to Baltimore that much, but I was just thinking of him as a prospect. So him making it, like, props to him. That was a surprising one. One other thing I wanted to touch on, which I understand why they went this direction, but Paul Skeens starting the All-Star game, he did a good job from what I see, but I just don't. I have a weird hang-up about rookies in the spotlight. I think you kind of have to. I don't think a rookie should win MVP. I don't think a rookie should start an All-Star game. Personally, I was hoping that Chris Sale would start the All-Star game, but I know he pitched on Sunday and wasn't available for the game, and I understand that, but I just think he earned it. You know, he hasn't. I don't think he has started an All-Star game in his career, and I would have loved to have seen that because he deserves it at this point. He's in the the twilight of his career to some extent. He's been dealing with injury issues over the years, and I hope he finishes this year healthy. But yes, moving on from the All-Star game, again, congratulations to the American League All-Stars. I want to introduce a new segment, the Underappreciated Player of the Week. I plan on doing this every week with a player that I view as having a good year, and it's not exactly being highlighted. Jarren Duran, I don't know to what level he's been appreciated on the national scale, but because I don't watch main channels, like main news outlets or anything anymore. Like, I don't really watch ESPN all that much. I don't watch cable, so everything I do is on streaming. But he is balling out. His base running value on Savant is 100. He is the perfect base runner according to Savant. So credit to him. But it's red. It is a tomato on Baseball Savant. He is painting the town red. His batting value is an 80, and that's the lowest of the major three categories. His fielding is quite good, and his base running is next to perfect. His range is good. He's just a speedy guy, too. 95th percentile, 29.4 miles per hour running. Or not miles per hour. That'd be fast. What is it? Feet per second or something? I think it's feet per second. But that's his average, and that's good. He is just having a crazy year. I think he's in top 10 in WAR, too. Yeah, top 10. He is 10th. He is 10th in batting WAR with a 3.9. His overall WAR was a 5.3, 5.2, which is, again, absurd. I didn't think 5.2. I didn't think he was having quite that good a year. I saw him and his Red Sox when I went down to Miami to catch a game on the 4th, and he was a problem for us. 22 stolen bases. I think he's 22 of 26. That's good, man. He's having a good year. 42 RBIs. He's probably pacing, I mean, considering we're about 95-ish games into the season, he's probably pacing about 18, 17 home runs, and we'll call it 35, 38 stolen bases, somewhere in that range. RBIs probably around the 70 mark. Like, that's a good year for a guy who's not a 3-hitter and kind of having a breakout season. I think this is his first full year. Yeah, looking down, he's prior to this, he's only played 102 games in the season. His max at-bats was 362, or plate appearances. So he's already got career highs in plate appearances, at-bats, runs scored, hits, doubles. He's leading the league in doubles, leading the American League in doubles, leading majors, all of majors in triples. He has 10 triples this year. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. And 11 home runs. He's got career highs in basically every statistical category, with the exception of stolen bases. He had 24 last year and 22 this year, but he's still got plenty of time. Most career walks, most career strikeouts, but when you have the most career games or at-bats and plate appearances, you're going to strike out more. So I'm not knocking that at all. And his OPS is actually a career high at the moment. It's just higher than last year. I didn't know he was a dude. I'm not going to lie. I did not know he was a dude. OPS of 127. He's a guy, man. He's good. He deserved that All-Star nod. And I look forward to seeing what he's got. Yeah, and he's on a very team-friendly deal right now. I think I don't know if he's in the first year of arbitration. I don't know his roster or his salary situation. He's not a free agent. Yeah, he's on arbitration next year. Is his first arbitration eligible year. So he's not a free agent until 29. The Red Sox got a guy. He should be a cornerstone of that team, at least during his time with the Red Sox. Normally, players that have speed as a primary facet of their game, their skill set will diminish sooner because of the fact that they lose the speed. You can look at D. Gordon. That's a guy who I don't like to look to for this, but I think he's only 34, and he's pretty much out of the league. He's not an old player by any means, which I have a computer in front of me. Let me Google D. Gordon real quick, just pull that up. But D was that dude for Miami offensively. He won a batting title with Miami back when he was in Miami, when he was peaking. He's born in 88, so what would that make him? 36. Okay, he's 36, but he's still playing age. That's the thing, is especially now with the way that players take care of themselves and how much money they dedicate to their bodies, they're able to play a lot longer than they have in the past. But with speed guys, once the speed goes, Billy Hamilton is another good example. He had wheels even after, but it wasn't the wheels he had when he was young. And I'm not saying that speed doesn't play. Speed absolutely plays, and it will play for a long time. Juan Pierre is a guy who is a good example of speed playing forever. He, in the twilight of his career, I think he still stole 30-some-odd bases. He was a guy who could make that work for him, but he also got smart on the base paths, as well as having the speed to go with it. But yeah, Jarren Duran, I keep calling him Jarren Duran because it rhymes and I like that. But Jarren Duran seems to be a guy. I think he'll be a guy for probably a decade or so. I think even when the speed doesn't play as much as it is now, it looks like he'll grow into the power. He's got a big frame. He's 6'2", 205. He's a good size guy. What's his exit velo? I have his Savant page pulled up. His average exit velo is 91.5. That's average. He hits balls hard, and he's been barreling them up this year. His max exit velo this year is 113. 113 off the bat. If he starts getting the launch angle a bit higher, his average launch angle this year is 9.2, which is not as bad as some players, but he's hitting a lot of line drives, which is a good thing for average. I was a line drive hitter when I played, but I'm not in the pros. So having more of an uppercut swing, especially playing in Fenway, he could hit a lot of home runs. A lot of home runs. Because that park is very hitter-friendly, especially with pesky pull and the way the right field line kind of comes in. He's a left-handed hitter, so he's got that benefit there. That it plays to his skill set. And the fact that he's got 10 triples while playing in Fenway, that's absurd to me. I know that the ball can carry him different ways and all kinds of stuff off the monster and everything to that nature, but it's still crazy that he's got 10 triples in a year playing in Fenway. I think he's got an insane ceiling based on what I'm seeing this year. Hopefully the Red Sox hold on to him and don't just trade him while he's hot, which they've seemingly done in years past. I know he's got a team around him too. Tyler O'Neill's having a pretty decent year from what I remember seeing. Plus, he's just a good player. Or you know what? He is having a bit of a down year, isn't he? But he's got a squad around him. The Red Sox surprised this year a bit. They're making a run. Another player I want to highlight, like I said, I'm highlighting two players because I fell in love with this character, this player when he showed up in Miami. Otto Lopez. We picked him up as a waiver claim. The Luis Arraez trade kind of opened the door for him. It cracked open, and he kicked it open. He's cooled off a bit since the beginning of his campaign with Miami, but dude's balling this year. A lot of his page on Baseball Reference Baseball Savant doesn't qualify for league comps because of the fact that he's had some time on the injured list and he started the season late, so he doesn't have a full year of statistics to kind of pull from, but he has a career high in, I think, literally every category when it comes to counting stats. Obviously the percentages and averages are a little bit skewed because of the fact that 1 year he had a 667 average because he only played in 8 games, had 9 at-bats, and got 6 hits. So, and that was for Toronto in 22. So that year's kind of, he was a 1-dot that year. His OPS plus that year was 298, but he only had 9 at-bats. So, I mean, look at that how you how you want to, I guess. But yeah, this year so far, 55 games for Miami, 179 plate appearances. This is prior to the game on Saturday on the 20th. I'm recording this, so he hasn't played yet today or inevitably tomorrow. This will release Monday morning, but it's career highs in every category. He had a bit of a power surge early on, which was nice to see. I was hoping that would continue, and he had parallels to a poor man's right-handed Jazz Chisholm Jr. And I'll justify that. That's a big comp, but I have the Savant pages for Otto Lopez and Jazz Chisholm pulled up, and I want to kind of take a peek at them. One thing that I noticed early on is his exit velo. Him and Jazz have very similar exit velo. I think the biggest difference between them is the launch angle. Otto, his average exit velo is 88.2. Jazz is 88.6. The main difference, I guess, between them right now is that Jazz just barrels it more. He's in the 76th percentile of barreled balls, which basically just means that he hits it squarely more. For people that aren't really savants, so to speak, aren't well versed in it. I want to be a platform for those who don't know and those who do know. What I'm kind of getting at is Otto Lopez has great fielding. This year he's in the 86th percentile for fielding, and then his batting and run value don't qualify because he hasn't had the time on the bases. But it looks as though his base running is positive. His sprint speed is in the 84th percentile with 28.6 feet per second, and his range is in the 94th percentile, meaning he can get to the ball better than, I guess, 94% of the league. Not 94% of the league, but he's in the 94th percentile of people who have the ability to get to the ball at the position of second base. His arm strength is in the lower percentage, but that's fine. He as a second baseman, you don't really need that much of an arm strength. Jazz, his arm strength is a little bit stronger, 86.8 miles per hour, and Otto Lopez 82.7. So Jazz does have him beat with arm strength, but again, as a second baseman, he doesn't necessarily need the craziest arm strength, as long as he can get it to first, and he's got a somewhat major league arm. He has the range, the ability to get to it, and he's been a positive defensive player for our team. What are some other things I can kind of peek at here? Bat speed for Otto Lopez is 70.7. Bat speeds for Jazz is a 71.8. I want to look at the launch angles, because with baseball, hitting a home run, you kind of want the launch angle to be right around 30 degrees in order to get the most out of it. Probably a little under, probably like 28. But somewhere sitting between 25 and 30 degrees is probably the best case for a ball that you want to get out. That's a driven ball. That's a good launch angle. You don't really need to hit it as hard necessarily to get more out of it because that's the ideal launch angle to get distance. Right in there. Like, not necessarily that particularly, but right in there. Jazz, his launch angle on this season, average launch angle is a 10.6. That's decent. It's lower than you necessarily like it to be, but you also don't want him hitting pop-ups every at-bat. And the fact that he's got speed, he needs to make use of that while he's younger. Otto is half that. Otto's average launch angle is 5.2. So he's just not driving the ball, not driving it up. He's hitting a lot of ground balls, and I don't want to say you have to fix that, but teams can get you out a lot more if you're hitting it on the ground. Granted, he does have good speed, so he can make use of that, especially if he's pulling them on the ground. And a lot of his outs have been productive outs. So if he hits a ball on the ground to the left side, like to the second baseman or the first baseman with a guy on second or third, that guy's advancing a base, unless they're trying to choke the run off at the plate, which is situational baseball. But that's kind of my point, is he's a smart ball player. He feels like a smart ball player. Otto Lopez's max exit velo this year is 108.8. Jazz's is 112. That's not a big drop-off. And I'm not saying Otto Lopez is going to be Jazz Chisholm. I'm not. But if we look at, I guess they are comparable ages. They're about a year apart. It feels as though, or Jazz's max this year is actually 110. His high exit velo on his career is 112. So that's a mile per hour difference between Jazz and Otto, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is that Otto Lopez does not need to be Jazz Chisholm Jr. He can be a similar player. To me, he has the ceiling of 15 home runs, 15 stolen bases, maybe even 20 if he runs more. Could be a 15-25 guy. Who knows? It's as much about the playing time that he gets. And I think he is going to get a significant amount of playing time at second. Maybe some time at short, but I think he fits better at second. I kind of profile him better there. He could be upper 270 hitter if he can straighten out the ball. When he's hot, he's hot. He's a good situational hitter. He gets runs in. Again, he's a smart ball player. His expected batting average this year is a 283. And his average right now is, 253? So that just tells you he's hitting the ball better than he's getting credit for right now. And that's just good defensive positioning to some extent. If he can start hitting it where they're not, he's going to get an even better look. I don't know. I like the way he looks. I really like Jarren Duran. He's a guy. He's a guy. Otto Lopez could be a guy in the Marlins' future. We'll just have to see kind of how they take it. I'm right about at the time limit that I wanted to get to. I spoke about everything I wanted to. I had one question for y'all. How do you think I could improve this? I mean, however you have any suggestions, or if you have any ideas for content, do you think I should have my face in this, or do you appreciate just my voice? Did I go too fast today? Give me some pointers. Give me some ideas. I'd love to hear from y'all. And I appreciate you listening. Thank you for spending time with me today. My name's Chad, and this is Last Cut Farm Team, Episode 2. Thank you, guys.